Well, the St. Louis Cardinals were just swept by the Toronto Blue Jays this week, coming off an epic series win over the Los Angeles Dodgers this weekend. Sandy and Andrew are going to pop in and join me as we go on this episode of Dealing the Cards. But we're going to talk about Lars Nootbaar struggles, the starting rotation kind of having some holes in it that we kind of knew were coming, but they're experiencing it right now. Are the Cardinals in trouble in the middle of June right now, or pump the brakes a little bit? I'll talk about it, and Andrew and Sandy will come in and jump in and talk about it on this episode, Dealing the Cards. Hey, welcome back into another episode of Dealing the Cards. I know some of you have been waiting for a while in the chat. Thank you for your patience. Like and subscribe helps the channel a ton as we're going through. Really appreciate the support as always. Again, not a fun day today at the ballpark. Cardinals dropping fourth straight game, getting if you count the Sunday, or not if you count, but counting the Sunday game against Los Angeles Dodgers, obviously a 3-game sweep at the hands of the Toronto Blue Jays, who are a pretty darn good looking team this year. Doesn't excuse a sweep, right? Still a bad result, ugly performance. We'll get into all of that, but let's just remember this is a good Toronto Blue Jays team. Getting swept by a team does not make you a bad team. The Phillies were just swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates last week. The Phillies have had their own large stretch of struggles. The San Diego Padres have gone on a large stretch of struggles at times. Every contender in baseball goes on bad stretches. The question is, can your team bounce back from stuff like this? Or I guess the bigger question too is, with this Cardinals team right now, and you look at this rotation, you look at the lineup regression over the last month, is this a sign of who they're becoming? Are they regressing more to the team that they actually are? Or are they just in the middle of a rough patch right now? Those are the questions that need to be answered. I'm going to try and get rid of some housekeeping things off the top that I think you guys might be interested in as we're waiting for Sandy and Andrew to hop in too, but we'll get into the chat about how things are going, and appreciate you all tuning in as always. But good news coming from the ballpark today, or at least a goodish news. I saw Jeff Jones say it, I'm sure others as well, but Brendan Donovan's toe injury does not appear to be serious. He does have a little bit of a sprain or something like that in the toe, but they, in his words, threw the book at it and did all the kinds of treatments they could today. They do not expect an IL stint, more of a few days issue. But going into a really big series against the Milwaukee Brewers this weekend, if it's going to take him a few days to get ready, that's not great. I think another thing I'll at least preview, we don't know what they'll do. We don't know if they'll do it. I'd like to talk to Andrew and Sandy about this and get your guys' thought in the chat. But especially Brendan Donovan potentially missing a few games going into the series. The Cardinals in a stretch of a lot of games in a row, 28 games in 29 days this month. And also you just look at the roster right now and how much Ryan Villade's playing, the lack of usage of Jose Barrero, the really weird usage of Yoel Pozo, where he's basically Matthew Liberatore's personal catcher, and then sometimes plays otherwise, but not really enough to warrant the roster spot. I like Pozo, but they're not utilizing him in a way that makes sense right now. Chris Roycroft just pitched 2 days in a row. A lot of innings, or a lot of pitches in the ninth yesterday, pitched 2 innings today. Riley O'Brien pitched again today. I think there might be a pretty big shuffle of the roster coming up between now and the beginning of the Thursday's game in Milwaukee this weekend. I think from a pitching side of things, Roycroft looked better today, but again, I don't know if they can afford to go into the series not having fresh arms. I would take a 40-man roster move, but I'd love to see Andre Granillo at this point get a chance up there. You look at the Cardinals back end, their bullpen right now, and Ryan Helsley obviously has been struggling, and we can talk about that side of it. Phil Maton's been better as of late, but Kyle Leahy's struggling. JoJo, it's fine, right? John King was a little bit better today, but I mean, it feels like getting a dynamic arm like Granillo in there and seeing what he's got would be really important. And you look at the position player group right now on this bench, the Cardinals clearly need to get more use out of that, right? You can't have Villade be your right hand. Like if they don't trust Gorman against lefties late in games right now, it's one thing if they had a Thomas Ajacey off the bench. It's another thing when Ryan Villade's the guy right now, right? Cardinals need to figure that out. They can't go into these games without a right-handed bat they could trust off the bench. So I anticipate maybe some roster moves happening over the weekend. Sandy, give me a wave when you're ready to roll. We'll get you in here because I need to grill him with something here. So here we've got our first correspondent going in for the day. Sandy, I need you to let the viewers know, what's your record in games at Busch Stadium this year?
Dude, today dropped me to 0-5. And I mean, I'd love to tell you the games I've been at because it's not just that they've lost, it's the way they've lost.
Wait, so I mean, even before you say it, we just already know you need to stop going to games.
I know. And look,
it's
going
your
to
fault.
games, it cost me today too because I'm late to the stream. Getting home was a nightmare. Ridiculous.
So
I'm getting punished all over the place. It is terrible.
So we've seen these viral pleas from Sandy for people to go to the ballpark and support the team. Cardinals fans, I plead you, go to Cardinals games and buy out all the tickets so Sandy can never go to another Cardinal game because they're 0-5. We can't afford this anymore. So I've done a little bit of housekeeping off the top. Sandy talking about Brendan Donovan doesn't expect to miss much time. Should avoid an IL stint. There is something going on with the toe, but they should be able to do some healing to it. Should treatment to it over the next few days. Might cause them to miss a few games. Oh, Andrew's in here too. We've got the trio going.
Welcome back.
So Donovan should be back soon. But you do have Roy Croft, whose arm was used 2 days in a row. He's throwing a lot of pitches. I'm guessing he's not going to be available for a few days. You have a bench that's super underutilized right now when you've got Ryan Vilade and Jose Barrero, who both basically don't have a use on the roster. And then Pozo is like used super infrequently and weirdly right now. I'm anticipating the potential of a lot of roster moves happening between now and tomorrow, because at this point, if Walker's going to miss more time, like you got to have some kind of right-handed bat you can trust, like a Thomas Ajacci, especially if Brendan Donovan's going to be on the bench, not playing and not on the IL. An Andre Granillo at this point, like the bullpen needs a jolt in it. And I mean, maybe Vilade's that 40-man roster move. Maybe it's I don't know, Fermin or Barrera. I don't know who it is, but they got to clear space and get an arm like that up. Are you in agreement with me that it's time to shuffle up this roster a little bit here?
Absolutely. You're in a super weird spot with it. The lack of and we can talk more about it, but at the end of the day, it's costing you games too. They don't have anybody to go to on the bench. It's just weird. You're in a weird spot. You're right. Anytime Ryan Vilade is getting playing time, you need to reevaluate what's going on depth-wise. I also think they might make some moves on the pitching side, but I don't know where we'll be with that too. So you're right. There's going to be a flurry of moves, if not tomorrow, within the next few days.
Yeah. So let's break down some of the series as a whole, and then we can zoom out a little bit from there. I know you had some thoughts on game one and maybe some Ollie's decision making. So maybe we run through that and kind of go back and forth about that, because I'm curious what you point out to, because some of that stuff we could potentially draw back to John Mozeliak, right? And the front office moves in terms of what kind of roster they've given him right now. But in general, I do think there's probably some things that you're going to say that I'm going to be like, yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull up the game log on my phone real quick so I can look
Sandy
back.
Getting roasted in the chat right now.
Yeah, dude, I don't bring a sandwich to the ballpark. That was a long time ago. I just don't eat at the ballpark. Andrew and I got Chick-fil-A on the way down there today, though. Now that was fire.
It's true. Sponsor was Chick-fil-A.
Smash that Chick-fil-A. Okay.
Sponsors Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, please. That'd be awesome. Okay.
Here, real quick before you even do that, I think just because we could probably rule this out, but it's been asked by Samuel a couple of times, and Samuel always appreciates you listening, but he's been asking, and I just haven't gotten to it yet, if Weatherholt is someone you'd bring up during Donnie's injury. I mean, I'm saying no, right? Like he just got to Double-A. I mean, not just got to Double-A. He's barely his Double-A experience. Not rushing the guy. I just don't think. I mean, if the Cardinals think he's ready, sure, but I doubt they think he's ready right now.
I mean, have they considered, like, I don't know, trying him in AAA first, like they did with, or like they didn't do with Jordan Walker? You know, like that's, I don't know. Whatever.
And I don't think every player has to go to AAA. It's usually what you need to do, even if you're a really good prospect. But
I would not make that move. I'll say that. I think that'd be a mistake.
All right, Sandy, what's your beef with Ollie from Friday's game or Monday's game?
Yeah, so I'll just say, like, you can each rate this from overreaction to reasonable take somewhere in there, because I'm known to overreact to things every once in a while. Right, that's happened before.
Every once in a while, I don't know.
Every once in a while, but I'll say
a couple times an episode, but that's fine.
I do like Ollie Marmol a lot, but I think, and I was at the game the other night, so blame me for that one too. But I think this is about as much as I've disagreed with Ollie Marmol this year. There were a number of things that made me upset. So we'll just start off. You're in the 7th inning. Ivan Herrera grounds out. Arenado flies out. Burley doubles. At this point, it's a 2-0 game. You've had a lot of trouble doing anything offensively. You've got a runner in scoring position. Nolan Gorman is up next. He's been swinging a hot stick. They bring in the lefty specialist to face him. Here comes Brendan Little, okay? the Cardinals counter with Ryan Vilade. Yoel Pozo is on the bench, okay? If Yoel Pozo does one thing for you, it's he doesn't strike out. I don't like Yoel Pozo as a hitter that much. Like, I don't think he's a great hitter. But, yeah, I think he's a better hitter than Ryan Vilade. I also know that Ryan Vilade has struck out several times in his limited plate appearances. He looks as overmatched as anybody. He looks more overmatched than Nootbaar right now, which is saying something. And we'll get to that in a second. But I can't believe that you leave Pozo on your bench there when you know the guy's going to put it in play. I mean, if you were gonna bring Vilade in for anybody, it would have made sense to bring him in as a pinch runner for Alec Burleson and hope that he could score if Gorman managed to squib something into the outfield, or if you had then double switched and put Pozo in for Gorman. I didn't like it at all. It was also terrible because Gorman, I believe, was your DH. So now Vilade is your DH, which sucks because you don't even get the defensive benefit of him playing. It was just stupid. I thought that was a bad move by Ali Marmol. You can rate that however you want, but I don't like that decision. I would have gone with Pozo, and if I was going to bring Vilade into the game, it would have been something that benefits your defensive alignment, or he would have been a pinch runner. What do you guys think about that?
Andrew, you can go first on that one.
I feel like that's fairly reasonable. I think I don't know if Ollie addressed it in his post-game comments. I would imagine he didn't, because otherwise we probably would have heard something about, Ryan Vilade usage or whatever. I see no reason for Ryan Vilade to be on the roster, if I'm being honest. Like Thomas DeJacy, I feel like playing against, and honestly, Nolan Gorman should just be playing every day at this point. Like, he didn't have a great game today, but he's been swinging the bat a lot better. And your most streaky bat, as I've been saying all season, people have been clowning on me for saying it, but once he gets hot, he can do good things for you in the lineup. Yesterday, he tied the game with a homer. It didn't end up mattering because the pitching threw the game away, but that was the right process there with Nolan Gorman in the lineup yesterday. I don't know, like Pozo, he hit a homer today. Sandy and I are in that recording of it. If you guys go watch it back, probably catch us there. The guy like 2 rows ahead of us caught the ball. So anyway, I haven't been too high on him. His OPS has dropped from like 850 to like almost sub 700 recently. So like definitely hasn't looked great. But yeah, I agree. Like Ryan Vilade is not the option you should be going to. And it's a roster construction thing. He should really be up here at this point. He's a journeyman, got cut from the Rockies, got cut from a different team. It's like not really somebody that I'm interested in seeing when you're not really like worse than Taylor Motter at this point, right? Like I would rather see Taylor Motter in that situation than Ryan Vilade. But I'm sure there's a reason where like you don't want to burn your catcher as the DH. When was Herrera the catcher that day?
Herrera did catch game 1. Herrera did.
Yeah.
So Herrera was catching. So Pages and Pozo.
Yeah, that's what made it even crazier is because you had Pages off the bench still.
Oh, okay. So never.
You didn't have to.
Then I don't really know what that.
I'll answer real quick, and I gotta dip for 5 minutes and then come back. But I think I agree with you, Sandy. It's not an overreaction. I saw someone today. I thought it was interesting. I think it was in our Discord talk about like Tony La Russa used to do this when he had a guy that clearly shouldn't have been on the roster. He kind of like puts him in spots to kind of prove like this guy doesn't belong on the roster. Maybe it was a cry from Ollie here, being like, "Hey, what I should be able to do here is put a right-handed bat like Luka Baker, Thomas DeJacy." But anyways. Sure, that could be happening, but at the same time, I'm not really going to give the benefit of the doubt there. You had Yoel Pozo. He makes so much more sense. You had Pages off the bench. So even if you need another bat, when you have Herrera catching, you have both catchers on the bench. Pozo should be your first right-handed bat off the bench right now with the guys you have there. I think you're right on that. I would have even left Gorman and over putting Vilade there.
Yeah,
but if you're going to pinch hit, definitely Pozo. Doesn't make sense to go to Vilade there. So, but again, I think that's somewhat roster construction, but also, Ollie, you got to do something else there. Okay. You guys throw your other ones out there. Andrew can kind of riff with you about. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I mean, as for the Gorman point, even if you leave Gorman in, like Gorman's a major league hitter. Okay. Like Little at least has to throw him something real. With Vilade, he doesn't even have to worry about missing. At least with Gorman in a position like that, you're not going to just throw him something down the middle. You know what I mean? So with Vilade, you can get away with whatever you want because Vilade is not a major league hitter. Vilade is a roster filler, and he's only up here because there's going to be a roster crunch, and they're going to have to DFA him, and they don't mind doing that. And there are other people they don't want to do that too. But that to me was infuriating. The next big issue for me at least, came in extra innings, and I think there were two big problems here. Well, first off, letting Vilade bat in the bottom of the ninth, dumb, but who cares? The next big problem for me came the Cardinals give up the run. Well, do you want to talk? Let's wait to talk about Helsley until Josh gets back, because I think that's another.
Yeah.
Thing. But we'll wait on that.
You think he shouldn't have put in Helsley?
No, I think he should have put in Helsley in the ninth, but we can talk about that a little bit, because I think.
By the way, which Nolan on the Cardinals do you think has the higher OPS?
Oh, Gorman.
It's not anymore, not after today, but it is close.
That's funny.
Which Gorman has a 683, Nolan has a 695.
That's hilarious.
Which is like, considering how we're talking about them at the start of the season, that's
So the Cardinals in the bottom of the 10th, they're down 1, so they need to score to tie the game and send it to the 11th. Preferably score twice and win it, right? You've got Lars Nootbaar at the dish. Lars Nootbaar clearly not seeing it well at that point in the game. I mean, what did he go in this series? Was he hitless?
I think he might have had one. No, I think he was hitless.
I think he was too. He was 0 for 5 in game 1. He didn't play in game 2.
Yeah, he was 0 for 5 today, so he was 0 for 10.
Yeah, 0 for 10 with 6 strikeouts this series. Awful. So right here, I've got Lars Nootbaar comes up first. The Cardinals actually had the benefit of having Victor Scott as the runner. If there's anyone in all of baseball as your Manfred man, you'd sure hope it's Victor Scott II. He's as fast as anybody in the league. At that point, a single anywhere on the field probably wins the game or ties the game for you, you know? But Lars Nootbaar strikes out. Now, I just think there are 3 things you could have done. You could have, A, pinch hit for Lars Nootbaar, which I don't think I would have done. But if you have Pozo sitting on the bench and you know that he's capable of the problem is, though, they made the mistake with Vilade, who's your extra outfielder, so you don't have another outfielder to go to, so Nootbaar's locked in. But if Vilade was still on the bench, you could have put in Pozo here. You know he's going to make contact. Pozo doesn't strike out. He doesn't draw walks. Contact would move the runner over, which you have to do. So they could have pinch hit. They could have had Nootbaar bunt, and they really should have had Nootbaar bunt. I can't believe they didn't do that, okay? The guy is 0 for 4 at this point with a strikeout already. He's clearly not seeing it well. He's been an offensive black hole for the last, 3 weeks at this point. It's been really bad. I'm sure Josh has numbers on this that I haven't looked at yet, but it has not been good. It's fine letting him go up there, but you've got to bunt. You've got to show bunt, and you've got to get the ball in play. Instead, Nootbaar flails at 4 pitches. He flails at 3 pitches, 2 of which are out of the zone. And they lose. The only strike he saw, he didn't even swing at. He clearly is not right at the moment. The third option, which I think was intriguing and which still would have worked after the Nootbaar bat, is sending Victor Scott. Okay. Once Nootbaar strikes out, you now need a base hit to win the game because you can't move the runner over and then bring him home still, right? Like you've lost the opportunity to manufacture a run that way. They should have sent Victor Scott. Victor Scott has said to us, in fact, that it's easier to steal. He said it's easier to steal third base than it is to steal second base. It was Hoffman in the game. Let me look at something really quickly before I say this. But is Hoffman a righty?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Hoffman's a righty. So Hoffman is facing third base. So I understand if you don't want to send Scott, but you have to do something at that point. And I just think that, so Josh, basically what I said was there are a number of things they could have done differently in that 9th inning. One, if you know Lars Nootbaar's not seeing it well, he's 0 for his last 14. He's been striking out a ton lately. You either have him bunt or you consider pinch hitting. If you've got Pozo on the bench, a guy that puts the ball in play every time. Coming into today, Pozo had 62 at-bats. He struck out 3 times this year. Yeah. That is the one thing you can't do as the leadoff hitter in the 9th inning or in the 10th inning. And I just feel like it was me and 30,000 other people at the game watching, and we all just knew Nootbaar was going to strike out. He saw 4 pitches. 3 of them were outside the zone. He swung at 2 of those. He saw 1 pitch inside the zone. He did not swing at it. It was a terrible at bat. And the other thing you could do is send Victor Scott, which I know it's tough with a righty out there. But at the end of the day, you've got to make an aggressive move at that point because you need a base hit to win the game now. They didn't get that base hit and they lost. I think it was mismanaged by Ali Marmol. I think Nootbaar should have bunted. I think that's the big thing they should have done. But you've got to do something. Lars not putting it in play was awful.
Yeah, I don't think it's an overreaction. I think it's like it's not an overreaction that I think it's fair. Like, it's totally fair to disagree with Ollie's decision making there, but at the same time, like the blame I put on Lars Nootbaar, where it's like, you've got to figure out how to put the ball in play there.
You've got to
and so, and he is your leadoff hitter. He is one of your best hitters, even though he's in a slump right now. Like, he is one of your guys, and so I don't blame Ollie for going with him there. Like, I'm not like, how could you ever do that? But at the same time, you keep bringing up great points of Pozo putting the ball in play. But at the same time, like, there's a part of me, it's like, if Pozo would have pinch hit for Nootbaar there and it didn't work, I bet a lot of people have been like, why on earth did you just pinch hit for Lars Nootbaar? Even with him struggling, it just feels like people kind of want to have their cake and eat it too. Bunting there, I don't think anyone would have blinked an eye at, though. I don't know if Newt's a good bunter, though, because we've never really seen it. So just because you're a major leaguer doesn't mean you know how to do it well, which is unfortunate. But like your point about Scott stealing there, it's like, why not? But at the same time, you have the top lineup. But if Scott gets thrown out third, people would freak out about that too. It's a weird spot.
Maybe a hit and run, maybe a squeeze to get Scott over to third where Nootbaar bunts. Like, I don't know, but you've got to do something there to shake things up. Because I'm sorry, I felt like I was sitting there and I just knew Nootbaar was going to strike out.
Yeah.
And if you look at his last 7 games, you want to guess what he's OPSing over his last?
Probably like
sub 500, right?
Oh, it's sub 400. He's OPSing 315.
Okay.
103 average, 103 slug, so 0 extra base hits, a 212 on base, 3 walks, 13 strikeouts.
Let's have the Nootbaar conversation now. That I don't know if you have any other things you want to talk about from that game specifically.
I want to talk about Helsley after this.
Okay, let's do the Nootbaar thing. Maybe we do an ad read, then we'll get to Helsley because that segues into the pitching too. But so Nootbaar in his last 30 games now. So this is like our last 30 days. So this is a large sample size now. Is slashing 204, 273, 291. That's a 569 OPS over the last 30 days. Now, we've talked about this before too, and it's a real thing. I've written about it. Nootbaar, when they win games, has an 893 OPS. When they lose, he has a sub 500 OPS. It's a 493. The offense, to an extent, rides or dies with Lars Nootbaar. And if you look at this, where he ranks among the qualified hitters, I didn't do all hitters this year for the Cardinals. Among qualified, though, he is basically first or second in every slash category in wins, and the bottom player, except in slug, I think. When it comes to losses too. So it's like, it's legitimately a correlation so far. But when Lars Nootbaar does well, the Cardinals win games. When Lars Nootbaar does just has one of these games, they don't win games. Now, I think part of that's because of the talent and what he brings to the table, right? Because he can be an on-base machine. He is clutch when he's on, and he has enough slug and power to get those doubles and home runs. He's not a power hitter, but he blends that well with the on-base stuff and the energy he brings to the team. But part of that's just how talented he is. But part of that's also because he is your leadoff hitter. And so when you're the leadoff hitter and you're that abysmal, it affects the offense. When you're the leadoff hitter and you're that good, it impacts the offense in a positive way. I think it's fair now to wonder if going into tomorrow's game, if Nootbaar should be moved down the batting order if he's starting tomorrow. I think it's a fair conversation. I don't think it has to happen, but at this point, you have a 30-day sample size, and you do have Mason Wynn that could be up there right now. Do I think Mason Wynn should be the leadoff hitter all year right now? No. And I think there's 2 weeks from now, Nootbaar could be back in that spot. But I don't think he's earned the right to just be there long term. They've already moved Nato down. They moved Contreras down the order earlier this year. They've done that to veterans on the team. Nootbaar shouldn't be immune to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if you think of outs as chances, like chances to get on base, you get 3 mistakes an inning, and then you don't get to score, And if you start off every inning with 2 mistakes left, like that's really bad for you. The Cardinals have done a lot of work this year with 2 outs, and it just doesn't work that way for most teams a lot of the time. And we're seeing that not happen all of a sudden, Like if you've got 2 outs, there's no room for a sac fly. There's no room for a fielder's choice that scores a run. If you've got 1 out, there's no room for a double play that pushes a big run across. And the Cardinals have had a ton of chances to score, but they've all come with 2 outs in the last few games. Even today, I mean, I think they put the leadoff man on once today, and it was that Contreras double and might have been the 6th inning, which they wasted promptly. But they had plenty of chances to score after that, and before that, but they didn't push the run across because all of those opportunities came with multiple outs. It just kills you. Lars Nootbaar led off, I think 2 or 3. I think he led off 2 innings today, struck out both times. Immediately you're in a hole. And it's been a real issue for the team over the last month. The numbers from him have been particularly abysmal over the last week. I think you're right. I think I would move him down. You can't start every inning with even less like there's very little margin for error in baseball. You can't start every inning with even less. It just doesn't work. The Cardinals have really shot themselves in the foot, and there's more than just that. It's been, errors have really screwed them over, like that kind of thing. They just have really shrunken their already tight margin for error over the last 4 series or so, and it's cost them a lot. Cost them against Kansas City, cost them today. It cost them against Texas, and that's why they've been on a slide. Just can't play that way.
Yep. So real quick, Cole, thank you for, or Kale, sorry, thank you for the donation there. Really appreciate the super chat there. Jackson Jobe, Tommy John. That's terrible. I love watching Jackson Jobe pitch. So unfortunate. So I think so something that's a fair, and I think we always have to think about this part. When you advocate for someone to move down the order, you have to then have the response of then what does the order look like? Because last year is one of the conversations we have Goldschmidt and Arenado where it's like, move them down, but everyone was struggling. So it's like, who do you move in their place? Another guy who's equally as bad. Now, at some point, it got to the point where they just had to do it. But it was one of those things where there was a stretch there where Ollie just didn't have another option. Now, if you move Nootbaar down the order, I do think the lineup can make sense. Right now, I'm going to bake in Brendan Donovan's out the next few days, so he's probably not in your starting lineup. But would anyone be opposed to a lineup tomorrow that looks like Mason Wynn, Ivan Herrera, Wilson Contreras, Alec Burleson, Nolan Arenado, Lars Nootbaar? I'm just going to bake in Thomas to JC Bean up because I think you got to do it at this point. But that could be, I guess. Oh, sorry, Gorm. What am I thinking? Gorm could be in that spot. So Gorm, Newt, Pages, Scott. And then when Donnie's back in the lineup, you go Donnie, Wynn, Herrera, Contreras, Burley, Nato, Newt, Pages, Scott. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense. Donnie can slide right inside of that leadoff spot. You've got Contreras, Herrera, and Burley, who could be the 2, 3, 4, 5 hitters. Mason Wynn's been great in the 2 spot. I think it's at both and where Nootbaar kind of needs to be moved down at this point, and you've got other guys that can fill in that spot. Now, that's fair from Bill here that, like, if you look at Wynn as a leadoff hitter in his career, he's actually been terrible. So, but I'm talking about, could you do that for a few days? Because, who else do you put a leadoff then if you're moving Newt down? Is it like Scott's been, I guess Scott, but he's been struggling too. Do you put Ivan Herrera there? Like, I don't know if I would
happen. I don't know.
But when Donnie's back, I think he clearly fits in as the next leadoff hitter and you can get by otherwise. Do you guys disagree with that? Or do you guys like lineups like that? Like, Andrew, what do you think about that?
I just struggle to figure out. I think the lineup, like if Nootbaar is like doing well, like it's like best when he's at the leadoff position, because like if he's down in the lineup with guys like Gorman and Scott and Burleson, I feel like it makes it really easy in late innings for opposing managers to just put a lefty in there and like kind of navigate that line and like neutralize the offense that way.
True.
So I feel like that's not something that I would like think about long term, where like one of the lefties needs to be higher up in the order. And I think if Donovan were healthy, I'd probably move him to lead off in that position just to like, I guess maybe if it went with wrapping around with Scott and Donovan, maybe he's fine where he is, or like moving him to like batting second and like Herrera third or something like that, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. That's something I like paying attention to. And Ollie did a fairly decent job doing lefty righty at the start of the season. And obviously things have changed with Walker being hurt. And Arenado not playing as well as you would like, or you have some righties missing in key spots where you would like that to be more balanced. But I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like I would ride with it for like another game or two, and then I'm not fully there at the point, because Nootbaar still does draw walks even when he is slumping. Not as many walks during like the last couple of games. And I don't know what's going on with his plate discipline, because it kind of seems like he's chasing a lot more. Maybe something where it's like trying to be more aggressive, and he's like changing his approach a little bit to like do a little bit more damage, and like this is what's happening to him as that's happening, and he's being more aggressive on the wrong pitches, where I don't know, that would be really frustrating. People in the chat are talking about Sinisi.
Yeah, maybe not a Sinisi.
Your walk rate actually has not been good over the last 30 games either.
Yeah, and he's striking out a lot too, which is a killer in that spot.
Yeah, I think it's like 7% over the last 30 games.
Andrew, I think you bring up a good point, but it's something I counter to. It's like I don't know how, and I'm not saying you're not accounting for this. I think it's a really good point about the lefty funnel that's been at the bottom lineup. But I don't know how you construct any lineup right now where that doesn't happen because of the amount of lefties the Cardinals are relying on right now. And because they do have Pedro Pages playing every day, where I think the best possible scenario you can do if you move Nootbaar down the order, is you move him down to that 6 or you move down to the 7 spot, and then so your lineup is Burley at 4, Nato 5, and you got Newt, Pages, Scott at the end of the order, Donnie coming up top. But you're right, like that is a perfect lane for a lefty later in a game. That's where I think that it's essential the Cardinals bring some right-handed options off the bench that you could bring in JC. You could bring in, but I don't know if Baker really fits right now, but I mean, JC is really the key right now to me. If a guy or Pozo can do some of those pinch hit opportunities. Also, I think the Cardinals at this point, how bad the offense has been, they just got to be aggressive. Where it's like if Herrera's your DH that day, then you got to be okay using Pozo off the bench in a spot. And if Pages gets hurt, then you're going to have to get rid of your DH and have Herrera go behind the plate. Because guess what? It's probably not going to happen. And if it happens, well, guess what? You had to deal without your catcher for 3 innings one game, or your DH for 3 innings one game.
Yay!
Like, yeah, actually, Andrew would love to see Miles Michaelis come to the plate in the bottom of the 9th. But yeah, I don't know anymore. This lineup is killing me right now. But I don't think it's as bad as people think, but at the same time, it could get worse here soon. So it's not trending in the right direction. But let's thank a couple of our sponsors real quick, and then let's have that starting pitching conversation and bullpen conversation, because I know the Helsley thing's important. We can talk about that. As always, we want to thank 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located at 9640 All Boulevard in Allvet. They're open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. Andrew's going to rip a pack on stream, it looks like right now, I think, right? Is that where you're flashing it? Okay. They have the new selections of packs, boxes, single cards of local players and stars from around the league. Andrew declined an insane trade. Oh, wow. An all-star Imanaga. That is just gold for Andrew. Oh my gosh. If you're a longtime listener of the pod, you'll know his Imanaga anti-glazing. Brett Rooker's a pretty good pull there too. Chipper Jones. I don't know what cards are valuable. So it always just like, this is cool. But yeah, if you guys, what was that?
This looks pretty good so far. I mean, Andrew can fill us in here, give us a little card knowledge, but
yeah, that's the like special silver pack that you get with all the boxes. So I opened that first just to show you guys, and the Imanaga was on top, of course. Thanks.
That's so funny.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So make sure to go check out 314. They're awesome. We know many of you already shop there, and I love when we get DMs on Twitter from people. They're like, "Here's the cards I pulled." Oh, there's a Nootbaar. Speaking of the struggling man. So yeah, let us know if you go check them out. Let them know we sent you. We always appreciate 314's support. So we hope you check them out as well. And then we also want to let you know about our other sponsor, and that's Underdog Sports. The Deal on the Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. You got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. Remember to use that promo code CARDS. It's on the screen now. You can download Underdog Sports in our description. Go on the App Store, all that kind of stuff. And remember, if you use that promo code CARDS, you get a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a first free pick 'em as well. They're awesome to play. It's really fun to play. We'll be posting our picks on there soon as well. So, Sandy, give us that Helsley take, because I think it'll segue into a good conversation about the state of the pitching staff.
At this point, well, I don't know if you guys have probably both seen this stat. It might have come from our chat, but how many innings do you think Helsley's pitched this year, and how many of them do you think have been clean?
Oh gosh,
clean as in like no hits or no runs?
No hits. No hits.
Can you give the innings, just because I feel like that?
I think he's got 25 innings pitched on the year.
Oh gosh, I'm gonna say like
right
3. I'm gonna say like 5 of the innings are clean.
4. So you got 4 clean innings all year. That puts him at a point. I mean, that's just terrible. You know, Helsley, in my opinion, I think he's gone from coming into this year. I would have said he's one of the best relievers in the league. I don't even know if he's the best reliever on your team right now. Actually, I know he's not. Ryan Helsley is not the best reliever on your team.
Who's better?
It's a multifaceted issue. There's just so many issues with him right now. The fastball, he's still throwing hard, but he's not throwing as hard as he was. It's regressed to the point where now you're talking about like he's not throwing it very often. there was an at-bat the other night where he just threw 7 sliders. He's throwing his slider more. That's his best pitch, but with nothing to plane it off of, it's not nearly as effective. Hitters are sitting on it. They're waiting. And the other problem with Helsley, when Helsley misses, he really misses. Helsley's missing over the middle. He's missing in the heart of the plate, and it's just those pitches are being obliterated. Helsley has more blown games than clean innings this year. That's unbelievable. That's terrible. He is not basically like 4 times all year. He's let you feel really good about him coming in and pitching. Moreover, he's not generating the whiffs he's generated in the past. I don't know if you guys I'm sure you did, but the Diamondback series, that was a sweep, but Helsley pitched twice, and those were some of the rockiest appearances. They were terrible. Helsley didn't have anybody fooled. I mean, guys just fouled off pitch after pitch after pitch, and then they sat and got what they wanted and drove it into. I mean, those pitches got driven into the outfield. It was just problematic. We got lucky. Helsley has been incredibly lucky to be where he is this season. And where he is not where he's been in the past, which tells me that it's just going to get worse. I mean, you're at the point now where he's going to be the Cardinals don't like to do this thing halfway. Helsley's not going to not be the closer anytime soon, but I think it's okay to be ahead of the curve on this one and say it's time to consider a closer by committee. It's time to play some matchups. Helsley can just be a regular high leverage arm at this point, because I'm sorry, I understand wanting to do right by the guy. Like, closers get paid when they save games. And I understand wanting to do right by Helsley. I understand him saying, I only want to pitch in the 9th inning when I've got a chance to lock down a save. But you know what? I'm sorry. You're not saving games anymore. You're going to start pitching when we need you. He should be a regular high leverage reliever in the pen. And I don't even know if he's the top of the pecking order. You can make an argument right now that Helsley is not a top 2 reliever on this team. There are other
Kyle Leahy's been awful recently. So I don't know who else you say.
The expected metrics on Leahy are still better than they are on Helsley. And Leahy at least has more swing and miss than Helsley.
Recently? I don't know about that. Leahy recently has looked really bad.
Look at Helsley's Savant page. Like, it's not.
Oh, yeah. But I'm saying Leahy in the last 2 weeks has not looked like the same guy that he was.
I also understand it with Leahy more because he's been worked so hard early in this season that he went 4 days in a row a couple times.
Yeah,
Helsley hasn't done that at all.
To be fair, for Leahy, is a 1.93 ERA over his last. I mean, it's just 3 appearances, but still, it's been a little bit better the last few games. But
I mean,
I think I was about to say, but how, until you said by committee, because that one I'm like, okay, I could see.
I forgot about
got two lefties in the 9th inning where you go to Steven Matz or JoJo rather than Helsley or Phil May. I mean, honestly, if Phil Maytown with his off-speed stuff and his cutter, attacking left-handed hitters, I trust him splits rise right now. I guess the point to me, if you were to say, Ryan Helsley shouldn't be the closer anymore, and this guy should be. If Helsley's coming in the 8th or 7th inning right now, you're still gonna have the same issues. So it's just it's an issue of he just got to get it right at this point. And the Cardinals bullpen's so weak right now that I just don't feel great. I understand why people are frustrated by it. Yes, he's not been good this year, and he's got to figure it out. I think committee's the only thing I could say. Yeah, I could see it, but a full removal from the role at this point, I don't see why that would make sense. Which is not what you advocated for. I think if you brought up Andre Granillo, and again, we don't know just because you're dominating AAA doesn't mean it's going to work at the majors. So it's a stretch, but at this point, I would love to see him in the mix there. But yeah, I can get behind a closer by committee, but it's what I talked about earlier of you got to answer the question. If you move Nootbaar down, who moves up? I think that has a clear answer. The Helsley side of it, I don't know what the clear answer is for your bullpen if Ryan Helsley isn't that lockdown guy, because at the very least, you're having those issues in the 7th, 8th inning now. And I don't feel great about my closer either. But Andrew, how do you feel about that? I mean,
there's certain things that I see with Helsley, like the Saturday game that he blew against the Dodgers. That was a little bit fluky. Obviously, the home runs that needs to change. But there's games like that where people are blaming Helsley, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, Tony hit it off the second base bag. He didn't hit it that hard. Yeah, and yeah, he's quick, but whatever. These things are going to happen. The little Mookie Betts single was he was kind of off balance, not a very hard hit ball, honestly. And yeah, those are going to get down from time to time. But if Ohtani's out, then nobody scores. And also the ball got away after Helsley struck out Freddie Freeman. That's how Ohtani scored the tying run. So
and that was on Pages too. That wasn't on Helsley.
Yeah, that was bad. Yeah.
So like, what are we talking about? And he got the next guy.
Yeah,
I forget.
And if that ball doesn't hit the bag or if Pages stops the ball, it's a clean save.
Yeah, so like you're chilling like after that, but like throwing a fastball that's not 102, 103 right down the middle to Jonathan, whoever who has not hit a home run this year. He threw it like 97 right down the middle. I was like, He was like, yeah, I was feeling good. I felt like I was hitting my spots. I was like, did you mean to throw it that way right there? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Here's the pitch. Here's the pitch. If anyone wants to see it, it's the blue dot.
It was right down the middle. It was like 97.
Where is that pitch?
So bad.
Like, that's not okay. Like, that's not a thing where it's like, I'm not going to defend that. There's also another thing where, like, there was another homer yesterday that was kind of similar, right down the middle.
Yeah, it was the Kirk.
One of the Michaelis ones.
Oh, no, it wasn't
yeah,
Kirk.
Michaelis threw literally middle. Just brutal.
Was it? And his fastball is like not even close to 97.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure. At this point, I don't care about Helsley's arbitration or his free agency. I'm not giving him a call.
For sure.
Like, I heard some like rumblings on Twitter of like people are like, oh, I would still give Helsley the qualifying offer. I was like, why would you give a reliever $20 million who wasn't good this year? Right? Like, if the season ended today, I would not give Helsley $20 million for next year. Like, maybe it's better, but like you can find another guy that does that, and you're not necessarily sure if he's going to do that. And like, people were saying that Helsley wouldn't take the qualifying offer. Like, I don't think he's going to get more. Maybe he gets 20 for like 2 or 3 years on the open market right now with the way he's pitching, because the peripherals aren't looking good. It's not like he's getting unlucky. Some guys, like I think Devin Williams has gotten unlucky at times. That's why his ERA is so inflated. I feel like Helsley's metrics are right in line with what they're supposed to be, and if anything, he's gotten a little bit
been lucky.
Yeah.
I don't think the qualifying offer one's really that we need to talk about that, because it's
anyway.
We're
far away from that.
Today, we probably don't give it to him, but it's June 11th, and it's hard. And like, I think it's really hard for all of us to predict what the free agent market will look like, because Helsley's going to want a long-term deal. So I see why he potentially could decline it. But at the same time, if he declines it, is a team going to want to sign him and give up a draft pick for Ryan Helsley? I think probably not. And if the Cardinals are giving him a qualifying offer, it's because they think he's going to decline it. They don't give it to him being like, well, we hope he accepts it. But anyways, so I think let's move past that one. I do think the Cardinals bullpen's a problem, but we've kind of known that, right? Like, it got hot for a little bit, but I don't think any of us were like, oh, it's a top 10 bullpen in all of baseball. It's just like, oh, it looks better right now, but you need Ryan Helsley to be better. And Kyle Leahy was on a heater, and he's just not on that anymore. I'm glad that they've committed to Steven Matz as a full-time bullpen member. They can't afford him to be the swing starter anymore. That's got to be Michael McGreevy, who actually might just need to be in the rotation full-time anyways. But I think if you've got, Helsley is just such a mixed bag right now. We'll see what happens.
Do you think Helsley gets better though? That's the important thing. Like, I don't think so.
How do we? Yeah, I don't know. Hey, we'll see. It's
just like he's not fooling anybody. That's the issue. If you watch Helsley's appearances, like, I go back, I just looked through the game log from that Diamondbacks game where we won 6-5. Helsley came in the ninth. He threw 31 pitches. He generated a total of 3 whiffs. 3 in 31 pitches. He faced 5 hitters. And the problem was, like, everybody was squaring him up. Everybody was sitting on whatever they wanted. There were no swings and misses. He generated 3 whiffs. Pavin Smith came up, didn't swing at anything outside the zone, fouled off like 7 pitches, and then got what he wanted. He was just hunting for Helsley's fastball, got what he wanted, and hit a 106-mile-an-hour drive into the gap.
Yeah.
Victor Scott played nice defense, cut it off, held him to a single. But like, that kind of stuff, Helsley is killing you right now. I just don't think he should be the closer anymore. I don't even know if he's a high leverage arm on your team right now. Like, I'd be fine.
Okay, I don't know if you can go that far, because, like, how many arms do you get to before you're at John King?
Okay, I would have Steven Matz ahead of Helsley. I would have
Sandy would rather see John King over.
Also,
Helsley,
hey, Ryan Helsley led baseball in saves in May.
I know.
Yeah, that's great. He had a ton of opportunities, but those appearances were so rocky.
I'm not telling you he's good, but I'm just telling you, like, we're not talking about some awesome bullpen right now. I don't really know what you do with him. Like, I think they got to ride it out. It sucks. I agree with you that a bullpen by committee might make sense, But to say like he's not a high leverage arm anymore, that's like, I mean, even if it's true, like the Cardinals are in trouble.
No, he's a high leverage arm on this team.
So
it's just you've got like 4 or 5 guys where the metrics are significantly better.
Yeah, I don't know if significantly. I think we're talking about a really weak bullpen group right now.
It is weak. It is weak right now.
So, but here's the thing I'm more so, like, well, actually, I shouldn't say more so concerned. Here's the other thing we got to play into right now. Cardinals rotation. I'm just going to run through some stats and tell you where they rank in all of baseball. They're 22nd in K to walk ratio, 25th in K percentage, 20th in batting average allowed. Their ERA minus 17th in baseball, ERA's 18th in baseball. This is the rotation. They're 8th and 5th, and they're 5th in innings pitched. So they are giving you length, and that's nice. They're 16th in xFIP. They're 21st in hard hit percentage, 18th in win probability added, 20th in Sierra. This rotation's pretty mid. It's mid to mediocre, below average.
Taking a big step.
I mean, you look at the rotation. Sonny Gray, been pretty good, right? 3.35 ERA, 3.11 FIP, 3.8 xERA, 3.05 FIP. But you get to, and Libby has been good, but like we all know the warning signs right now that to start the year he's been good, but lately I don't know if we think he's going to sustain that. You look at Fetty, he's got 3.5 ERA, which is second best on the team, but his xERA is 5.28, and xFIP is 5.07. We've been talking about this all year. Fetty. One of the things I love our beat writers here and the local St. Louis media, but one of the things I get really frustrated by is when he like kind of like scrapes by and gets through 6 innings and they're like, oh, look at Fetty. He like made it through and like navigated the walks and hits. Good for Fetty. And it's like, he's a ticking time bomb, guys. Like, can we say that out loud? Can we say it out loud? Miles Michaelis, 4.48 ERA in the year for all the people who act like it was crazy to put him in D tier, F tier. His xERA is 4.39. His expected FIP is a 4.92. Palante is a 4.75 ERA in the year and a 4.75 FIP. I mean, if you've got a mediocre rotation and a shaky bullpen, this is where things can look like 2023 pretty quickly. Now that rotation was way worse, so I'm not going to say it's that bad. But I think that's the thing I'm looking at right now is this Cardinals rotation has to figure it out. If Libby's going to regress like he is right now, they're in trouble because you've basically got Sonny Gray and the boys right now. Sonny Gray, and let's see what happens. And I put out a tweet, and I think people kind of took it too literally earlier yesterday. But I kind of said, like, I'm dreaming and I'm speaking into existence this idea that Roby, McGreevy, and Quinn Matthews will be in the rotation in August. Obviously, Roby had a bad AAA start today.
Yeah,
the point wasn't they should do that right now or that it's gonna happen. My actual point with that, I'm gonna be writing about it, is the Cardinals like might need a Hail Mary by August with their young arms, because we might get to a point where it's looking not good with the veterans. And they got them through the month of June. Great. They kept them in contention. It doesn't mean they're going to make it the rest of the year, though. And whether that's injuries or just regression in performances, the Cardinals need some upside in this rotation, because right now it's basically Sonny Gray, who's like a number 2 starter, and a bunch of 4.5s. And the 4.5s are with the bullpen as shaky as it is, and the lineup not giving you the run production it needs. I'm not freaking out about the Cardinals. I'm still optimistic. I still think they're a pretty good team. I think they're in a rut right now. But if that trend continues, that will be their Achilles heel. They're going to start falling apart if they can't figure that out. Am I too much sounding the alarms right now on the rotation, as this could end up being a bad thing?
It looks bad. And Liberatore had another bad start again today where, like, I don't know. I mean, he could be a solid back end of the rotation guy. That's where I'm at right now with him. I'm not going to be like, oh, Liberatore's a future front end guy. No, I didn't think that going into this year. I was maybe fooled a little bit after the first like 5 or 6 stars, but right now I'm like, I don't know how viable this is going to be long term. And then after that, it's just like, who do you even have left? Eric Fetty's been getting extremely lucky. Miles Michaelis has been getting extremely lucky up until yesterday. Palante, yeah, I don't know. It's not been good. Like he bounced back from that the other day, but like Sonny Gray seems like the only guy you can really pencil in and be like, yeah, I feel good when he's starting. Everyone else is just kind of whatever.
Yeah. And the sad thing too is like with McGreevy, like I put him in the upside class, but really actually I probably shouldn't. It's like, could McGreevy be the young, cheap option of what you're getting from Fetty and Palante and Michaelis, and hopefully a little bit better? But we're not talking about like if McGreevy comes up, I'd say from his next start through the rest of the year, I'm thinking like a low 4 ERA. And if he gets below 4, that's money. That's awesome for McCreevy. Quinn Matthews is maybe the one guy right now that I think, hey, he might be potentially bring some upside to this rotation here soon. And upside is in like not Sonny Gray, but definitely better than what they have from the other guys. But even that's a lottery dart throw because this dude has never thrown a major league inning. So to say he's going to save the rotation, I understand. That's cart before the horse. We'll see what happens. And Takoro Roby literally just made it to AAA, and he's going to need to adjust there for a while. Maybe the Cardinals make a move at the deadline for an arm. I think a potential scenario is maybe they move one of these Fedde, Michaelis type guys to a contender that just needs innings, and then they go and upgrade from that spot to get a better arm than one of those guys. Because there's going to be teams that don't want to swing a trade for some upside, but the Cardinals are a team where they don't need another Eric Fedde. They don't need another Steven Matz. They need a guy that's above those guys. So they can't like if they brought in Jose Quintana, it's like, great, that's helpful. But like, I mean, maybe actually that might be better what they have right now, but they can't go get another, they do the J.A. Happ thing, right? They got to go get someone who can actually miss bats, perform at a high level. And this might be where they're stuck this year, is that the young arms aren't ready yet.
At this point already. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, again, that's why Mo was right at Logger Day. It's too early to make these calls, but I have a feeling they're going to be stuck in July, where it's like the young arms aren't ready yet, but next year they might be those dynamic arms, and we're not going to give them up. We don't want to sell the farm to go get those arms, but if we keep rolling with the arms we have now, we're going to fall out of the race. And maybe this is how the Cardinals miss the playoffs, is organizationally they're not ready to make a move like that yet. But I do think, like I was talking about a second ago from Kareem, it's like, get creative, Mo. Like, sell on some of these pieces like a Helsley and a Fedde, and go out and, again, you're probably going to end up losing a little bit of assets in the process, but you can recoup some of that by trading away some guys and then going for the upside play. But we'll see what happens.
I just wonder what Helsley even nets you right now.
Yeah, right now, probably not a lot. So,
because I mean, you can go to a team and talk up, like, if you give Helsley enough time to get right, whatever, but there's not control. It's not like with Helsley, it's not like you're looking at the stuff and saying the stuff's going to be good eventually. He just needs to figure it out. With Helsley, you're looking at him at the deadline and you're saying, great, I get him for 60 games, of which at a maximum, he's going to pitch 25. And if the stuff doesn't figure it out, it was a waste. No one's giving you a top 5 prospect in their system for Ryan Helsley right now.
Yeah.
That's on the Cardinals, because a lot of teams probably would have given the Cardinals a top 5-10 prospect in their system for Ryan Helsley at the end of last season.
Yeah. So
last deadline, they could have gotten a haul for Ryan Helsley.
Yep. I mean, I can't disagree with you right now, but again, it is June. What is it? June 11th. Like,
there's
2 weeks from now. Yeah. So it's a little State of the Union on the deadline stuff, but overall, we got to wait to see how things go on. But any other random things we need to, or I guess one thing that I think also too would help this rotation out and this pitching staff out is the Cardinals can't afford to have the defensive regression that they've had as of late.
Yeah.
Because if they're a pitch to contact staff, like, honestly, it's one of the things we should have said the Blue Jays thing. Blue Jays are like a horrific matchup for the Cardinals. In baseball, there are bad matchups like in the NFL. And when you come up against a team that does not strike out and puts the ball in play 24/7, and your MO as a pitching staff is we don't strike out guys and we put the ball in play, it could go really poorly. And it went really poorly. So if the Cardinals face a team like the Blue Jays in the playoffs or in the season, then it's like, this is a matchup nightmare for this Cardinals pitching staff in a way that some other clubs, they might be able to navigate a little more. Drafts in a month, so we can look forward to that. But I think overall, like, I don't think it's worth freaking out about this team yet. But I think the warning signs are there, and it's fair to at least wonder. But the defense has to be good if you're going to have a pitching staff like this. You can't afford to have that Gourmet today. You can't afford to have Vic not catch that ball at the wall and have it go over the fence. You can't afford to, like, they were making incredible plays. Now they're sometimes making those incredible plays, but now they're also making plays that hurt themselves, and Miles can't overcome that. Palante can't overcome that. That hurt Libby today. Like, you can't afford that.
Yeah. I mean, Libby gave up 3 earned runs in 5 innings. If it's 3 total runs in 5 innings, you're looking at that and you're like, it's an all right start, whatever. Instead, it was 5 runs in 5 innings, 2 of which were unearned, but unearned runs still partially on the pitcher, unless it's one of those little league home run type things. Like, Libby still wasn't able to get out of it. He had chances to get out of it, still didn't. The guys came across. Yeah, it's really tough when you ask people to get, 4 or 5 outs in an inning. That's why there's not 4 or 5 outs in an inning, why it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, big series.
We made our pitch. I wasn't here for the first 10 minutes of this. Did we make our pitch to ban Sandy for live from Busch Stadium? Or?
We did. That was the first question I asked him in there. So you'll have to clip it.
Okay. There you go.
Well, unfortunately for everybody, I'll be going to games until I see a win. So
you'll just be going to every single game for the rest of the season.
Probably. Yeah. I didn't have to recap this at the beginning real quick, but listen to the games I've been to. I want everyone out there to understand my pain.
Yeah. This is no.
I watched us go down against Scooball 4-0, come all the way back, tie it, lose in the 9th. I went the next day, watched us lose 5-1. First bullpen win of the season for the Tigers. They'd run a couple bullpen days. They'd lost all of them. Then I watched us blow a 5-run lead. I think it was 7-2 against the Royals in Jack Caglianone's debut. Watched that. Then I was there on Monday for the Ivan Herrera game-tying home run or go-ahead home run, followed by the Helsley loss. Yeah, I probably should have gotten gas, but I wanted to make it in. And then today,
before you made it in, we were winning.
That's the really funny thing.
That's what happened, man.
We showed up today, and then we showed up, and they were terrible. So I was there today too. It was just terrible. But I've seen the most devastating losses at home.
Sandy, they can't get a pick higher than a 10-10 this year. So tanking them's not going to do anything. You're doing a disservice to everyone right now. So stop running games. Stop it. At least until they have a cushion. All right. If they get swept or lose that Chicago White Sox series, we should legit make posters around Busch Stadium that bans you from games.
I don't know if I'm actually going to go up for it, but I'm really considering it.
Oh boy. No bueno. Anyways, we appreciate the support as always. There's some comments in here about leaving some questions. You can always leave them in the comments afterward as well, because the weird thing with YouTube is sometimes it saves the live chats in there and sometimes it doesn't, so throw them on the comments anyway. So if you want us to see them, dang, there was something I was going to say on the way out, but I'm forgetting with that. But yeah, ban Sandy from the stadium, make posters. If you see him around St. Louis, do whatever it takes, kidnap him if you need to. He's not allowed in. Jacob Mizakowski or whatever gets to start for the Brewers tomorrow, so yippee for the Cardinals. That'll be fun. I've already heard some people say this is like a make or break series. Let's chill on that. Probably not, because it just probably isn't, but I think it is a litmus test. And if this Cardinals team, I think if they split the series, because it's in Milwaukee, hard to complain. I mean, it doesn't mean it'll feel good, but it's not terrible. If they win or sweep, obviously that's a great thing. But if they lose or get swept, oh boy. Tides might turn the other direction, at least in the fan base. It doesn't mean the Cardinals actually will, but it'll be hard to convince people the sky isn't falling. So let's hope the Cardinals play well. As always, like and subscribe. Helps channel a ton. We appreciate your support as always. We'll be back this weekend. Rain or shine, doom or gloom, or riding a high from the Brewers series. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Sandy.
Thanks, Mo.